Hey, little one. Are you particularly attached to that curse inside you? The lifeless eyes of the child hadn't a response for him. The dark woods of the surrounding forest were just as quiet as the girl propped against a fallen log. His mouth became a pout at the lack of conversation. Then how about a trade, right? You look like you've been a few days without food, so I'll give you this and... The hard bread he pulled from his pack was immediately grabbed by and shoved into the mouth of the small girl. As she wolfed down the bread, she began to choke. Now, no need to eat so fast. Here. He produced a canteen of water. That, too, went to her lips without thought. So, that's a yes, then. A somewhat malicious grin spread across his face. With a swift, practiced movement, his hand pierced her chest. A look of surprise spread across her face, but it faded quickly. There was no wound. Her clothes weren't even damaged, but his hand held something when he pulled it from her. That something looked like a small fireball that was a glittering purple and black. A minor curse of malaise, huh? Well, bottoms up. He held the fireball above his head and lowered it into his mouth, where his tongue wrapped around it and seemed to drag it into his gullet. The girl had stopped eating and was watching with a confused expression. Hey, you agreed to the trade. You don't get to be upset about what I do with it. The strange fireball-eating man said, whilst patting his belly. She meekly nodded, a hunk of bread still clasped in her mouth. Phew, Malay's curses are always a little bitter, but this one had quite the sweet aftertaste. He had squatted down to reach eye level with his dinner guest. Her hands grasped the bread tightly as she moved it away from him. No, don't worry, I'm not going to take it back. It's all yours. Couldn't eat another bite anyway. She nodded, swallowed what she had in her mouth, then spoke for the first time. Who are you, mister? He slapped his hand to his head. Ah, right. Forgot to introduce myself. He stood up again, puffing out his chest and holding his hands on his hips. Anord the Curse-Eater. His grin was bright, but the girl cocked her head to the side. You eat curses? Anord nodded. Yup, they taste real nice. There was an awkward pause, punctuated by the small girl taking another bite of the bread. You know, typically you introduce yourself after asking someone's name. Anord gave the child a bemused look. She took another sip from the canteen. Emily. All right, Emily. Why are you out here in the forest? Emily suddenly shuddered and took another bite of the bread, hoping to avoid conversation by eating. Now, that won't do. It would be against the Curse-Eater's code to leave a lost kid out in the woods. She muttered something under her breath. I said I'm not lost. Oh? Then shall we get you home if you know the way? Anord scratched the back of his head. Now, I'm going to say something that might sound mean. Just let me know if it's right. The girl was frozen against the log, bread stuck mid-chew. Ever since you were born, people would be scared when they saw you. People would get sick near you, and they cast you out of the village as a cursed child. Emily started crying, tears streaming down either side of her face. Oh! Anord looked surprised, but Emily managed to nod through her bawling. If, perchance, your curse was gone, do you think they'd take you back? Emily shook her head, tears still spilling. Anord brought his face close to hers. Emily moved back in surprise. I suppose that means you'd better come with me. After Emily had finished her meal, the two walked in a line through the underbrush. The forest had ceased its silence, and birdsong had begun to filter through the tree-ridden place. It appears that the small child was beginning to feel a little better after eating something, as she was walking quite quickly to keep up with the pace of the curse eater. "Mister, where are we going?" "Well, I'm not quite sure yet. Guess we'll see when we get there."